Welcome, everybody. So glad you're joining us here at Center for Spiritual Living Bellingham. We hope that today's talk and music and prayer will uplift you and sustain you in all that you do. To start us off, let's go to our musician, Amber Darlin, who's going to give us some wonderful sound.
Good morning, everyone. Well, let's sing on into this day. We need a little more yes in our life, right? Here we go. Take me to the water and I'll dive right in. I'm ready to let go of everything that's been. I said, take me to the mountain and I'll climb on up. The highest peak beauty's gonna fill my cup. I say yes, I say yes. I know all is well. Let's sing yes. You say yes, yes. I say yes. I say yes, yes. Knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I say yes, 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 knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes, I know all is well. I say to throw routine right out the door. When I'm scared, I know it leads me to something more. Widen my gaze and see all there is. Take a leap of faith, I'm gonna find that bliss. I say yes, I say yes, I know all is well. Let's sing together. I say yes, yes, I say yes. I say yes, yes, knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I say yes, 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 knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I know all is well. I say yes. Come on, you all say yes. We know all is well. I say yes. Oh, now we all say yes. We know all is well. Yes, indeed, all is well this morning here in Bellingham, Washington. Where are you from? Who are you? If you're out there on social media, this is a great time for you to say hello to your friends out there or new friends, folks you don't even know. We love to see your comments. Let's go ahead and sing My Soul is Welcome Here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Clap, clap. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 Well, we are going to move on to our practitioner of the day with an invocational prayer.
Hello, everyone in this beloved CSL community. I'm Heidi. I'm happy to welcome you with this prayer today. Today, I know that I am free. I know this because I feel a great expansiveness inside of me that is all joy, that is all beauty, that is all peace. That place is spirit. It flows through me. Flows through all of us. I am a unique, individualized expression of that one. And I matter. My voice matters. What I think matters. And I get my bloated nothingness out of the way and allow the flow of spirit. I'm so grateful that I'm awake. I'm so grateful that I'm conscious. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this wonderful CSL community. Thank you. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Heidi. Well, let's move into some musical meditation together. I surrender. I trust and I know that as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I trust and I know. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. Let's sing that again together. I surrender. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I fall into the arms of love. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. My heart is open. My heart is open. I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. My heart is open. I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Let's feel this peace together as we sing. me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. My heart is open, I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. My heart is open, I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. My heart is open, I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. Oh, let me feel inner peace from the center, from the center of me.
Thank you so much, Amber and Heidi. That was wonderful. And Amber's last song, of course, goes straight to the heart of what I want to talk about today. Our theme for this month is what I can see from here. And it has to do with the yearly theme, On the Brink of Everything. And I was thinking about the term on the brink, because so often you hear on the brink of collapse or on the brink of disaster or things that are negative. But in our case, this year is a celebration of being on the brink of everything that can be awe-inspiring, that can be revitalizing, and so much more. So what I can see from here is that in order for us to be open to what is to come when we're standing on the brink, we need to work with what we know is essential for ourselves. Not anybody else, but for what's essential for us. And I chose for today a quote from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and he said, "And now here's my secret." This is from The Little Prince. "And now here's my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." And so I was worried when I picked this quote that some of you would think, oh no, she's going to talk about sappy, stupid heart stuff. Because, you might think that, but I'm not. Instead, what I wanted to do was lead off by talking to you a little bit about something I learned from my good friend, Sue Miller-Bourne. She's leading a retreat with me in February, a Zoom retreat, so you're welcome to come to that. But Sue, for years and years and years, instructed yoga from her late 20s until now. And somewhere in her path of what was essential, she went back to yoga college and began to study the Yoga Sutras. And she would bring what she was studying back to those of us who loved her and share what she was learning. And one of the things that stayed with me, that she taught me, was about the Heart Sutra, the heart chakra and the Heart Sutra. And in yogic philosophy, the heart chakra is the bridge between the worldly or the mundane and the sacred and the spiritual. So the lower three chakras meet at the heart with the upper three chakras, and the heart forms the bridge between those two. And it's not just an energetic thing, it's a recognition that there needs to be some place essentially within us that can bridge between the world that we live in the outer and the world that is available to us in the inner. And as she was teaching us this, one of the things that she taught me that I did not know was that, and I hope I have this right, I didn't call her, so bear with me. If I have it slightly wrong, you'll get the point. In the front of the heart chakra, the energy is moving in one direction, and it's an outward flow of compassion and loving kindness. But in the back of ourselves, where the heart chakra is in the back, that's where grief lies. And that often is where grief gets stuck, is because we don't know how to move with grief. We don't know how to use the energy that is wheeling from the heart chakra in such a way that it would allow a flow to happen through the grief, not as some sort of spiritual bypass, but rather as a way of working with what we're feeling and experiencing in that part of our life. So the reason this all came up for me is because there's a lot of grief. I don't know if you're in tune with it, but if you're paying attention, we've crossed the 400,000 people mark in terms of whom we've lost in the United States to the COVID virus. And while it may not have hit your family or your friends, in our philosophy, we understand that there is a collective field of experience. We often call it race consciousness. And that in that collective field, the morphogenetic field of what we're connected to, the grief is there. And we're all touched by it. We're all in some way pinged by it. And any grief that we've had in our life, whenever there's a large grief in the field, often will be activated. And if we haven't worked with that grief, if we kind of just put it on down somewhere in there, in this time we may be experiencing symptoms without really understanding where they're from. And they're from this trapped grief. So being aware of it is really the key. And working with the bridge of the heart chakra, working with bridging from the mundane into the spiritual and back again, is the work of a spiritual warrior. We learn to move in both worlds with efficacy and grace. And so as I was thinking about this, I came across a poem, and it's a poem by one of my favorite poets, but he's often a poet that challenges me. His name is Rainer Maria Rilke. And for years I thought he was a woman because his middle name is Maria, but not so. German poet. And I'm not going to try to translate the German, but the poem in English is called "I Love the Dark Hours of My Being." And this particular poem was translated by one of my favorite environmental activists, Joanna Macy, and her friend Anita Barrows. I love the dark hours of my being. My mind deepens into them. There I can find, as in old letters, the days of my life, already lived and held like a legend and understood. Then the knowing comes, I can open into another life that's wide and timeless. You can hear the bridge in there. So I am sometimes like a tree rustling over a gravesite and making real the dream of the one its living roots embrace. A dream once lost amidst sorrows and songs. So it's kind of an interesting poem, but it has to do with where I'm taking you next. So as I was thinking about how we can work with where we are and the bridge between the mundane and the spiritual and anything that the heart chakra energy would reveal, I was thinking about something I learned this week. And I don't know about you, but whenever I learn something, I want to tell somebody about it, because that way it becomes more and more concrete in me, more real. And so I'm going to tell you, a whole bunch of you, about it. And I thank you ahead of time for letting me do that. But it has to do with this topic that I've been introing. So there's something that maybe you've heard of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, I just learned that there is something else that's called PTG. And it's a real phenomena, and it's experienced by many of us, and it's called post-traumatic growth. And you can think of it this way. You can think of it like like there's a big earthquake, and the foundations of our being have been rocked and shaken. And and when the earthquake subsides, there's some damage maybe, but the structure of our being isn't entirely gone. It's simply been rocked and shaken. And in that, we have the opportunity to either go into PTSD and stay there for a while, or maybe forever. Or for many people, what they do is they go into what's called post-traumatic growth. And this theory was developed by Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun in the 90s. And they began to study, unfortunately, we have a lot of opportunities to study post-traumatic stress and traumatic events, especially lately. So they began to study people, and what they realized is actually there's a very small number of people who stay in PTSD for various reasons. Most people eventually move from that into post-traumatic growth. And if you use the earthquake analogy, what that looks like is we've been shaken, things have been shifted, and we bring in fundamental, foundational structures that are new, that strengthen us as a sacred human. And as we do that, we discover whole new expressions of ourself, and our self-esteem rises as our ability to weather these traumatic experiences is integrated into our being. So I think that's important for now, because there's a lot of trauma that's been going on in so many different ways. And we all have been touched, just like we were touched with grief in the morphogenetic field. We're touched by the traumas of our time, the pandemic being only one of so many. And I wanted to encourage all of us, including myself, to really learn about post-traumatic growth and the phases of it, so that we can understand and utilize those phases very consciously and directly, and use, as Rilke was saying, use the dark hours to understand ourselves, but also open to a new way that's wider and timeless. So let me talk to you about the phases, full well knowing, of course, that the phases don't go 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all blended together, and you move back and forth between them. And I'm going to start you with a story, and it's a story that's told by Wayne Muller, who's one of my favorite priestly guys, who has written a number of wonderful books. This happens in his youth, during high school. So he says, during that time, my friend Peter got a Martin guitar. Martin guitars were the best steel string acoustic guitars in the universe. And we watched in awe as Peter brought his out of its shiny new hardshell case. We took turns playing it. It was like making love to music. So softly and easily did it respond to the touch of our fingers. A few months later, Peter had to take the guitar back to the Martin factory to have a few minor adjustments made to the fretboard. He asked me if I wanted to drive with him to Nazareth, Pennsylvania, where the Martin factory was located, which was about 3 hours away. And boy, was I ready to go. When we arrived, we entered into a world many guitar players only dream about. Here were the master instrument makers gathered together in an enormous factory with all manner of tools and presses, woods and glues, engaged in producing some of the most beautiful instruments in the world. Each guitar in the factory was made by hand, one finely tuned step at a time. Every step had its specialists. We wandered among the craftspeople making backs, soundboards, tuning pegs, and fretboards. We watched jewelers lay mother of pearl around the sound hole. They let us wander around all morning. We were in absolute heaven. At lunchtime, the factory took a collective break. At this moment, the most delightful thing happened. As the workers finished their lunch, they began to pick up these guitars and play them. One by one, dozens of employees gathered to play on the guitars they had made. a guitar symphony orchestra, each improvising their way into the chorus of stringed voices. There were pickers and strummers and soloists and rhythm guitarists, all testing out the sounds of these fine instruments on their time off. These people loved what they were doing. They loved the music and they loved those guitars. Even when they could have gone elsewhere for lunch, to get away from their work, they stayed to play. They were the happiest people I have ever seen at their job. They were doing what they loved, and because of their love, they lavished such delicious attention and care on wood and steel that the instruments they made were significant. So that story, which is a lovely story, I hope you enjoyed it, has to do with the first phase that I wanted to tell you about post-traumatic growth. And the first phase is purpose. So you could hear in the factory workers at the Martin factory how the love that they had and have for music and for the craftsmanship that they're bringing to their art form infused their entire way of being as they were working and even in their time off. And that speaks to their purpose. They've found their purpose. That's what it feels like when you find your purpose, is you feel like you don't have to take time off much because you're in it. You're doing what you love, and you're playing with what you love, and you're offering what you love out into the world. Now, I know that the word purpose kind of freaks people out because a lot of people don't really exactly know what their purpose is. And so one of the things that I'm aware of is that it's really important to pay attention to what you love. And this goes back to your heart chakra too, right? To pay attention to what you bring out of the front of your heart in terms of loving kindness and joy and compassion, because these energies are transformational and also integrative. And so you may be doing your purpose all along in one particular area, because the energies of joy and loving kindness and compassion and love have moved you in that direction, whether you ever named it anything or not. And they're helping you transform your life in that particular area. So look for that. The second phase is a phase that I work hard on here. It's part of my passion and part of my purpose, and that is to create a sense of belonging for our community of sacred humans and the larger community that we're now serving. And belonging, it turns out, is incredibly important for post-traumatic growth. A sense of being seen and known, not because of what you do, not because of what you give, but because you are you. Intrinsically, who you are is enough for you to belong and to be seen and known. And that's a very powerful gift in this world. It used to be in times gone by that there was an opportunity, didn't always happen, but there was more of an opportunity to belong to a community, because that's how the world was structured at a certain time in life. You were part of a religious community, you were part of a work community, you were part of a village, you were part of a craftsmanship, you were in quilting societies, or you were in bowling leagues, or you were a mason, or you were, and it's not that these things have entirely gone away, but for a large number of people, they are no longer operative. And so where do we get our sense of belonging? Where are we seen just for who we are? Not because of anything we do, not because of money we give or service we give, but just as a person, belonging because we see you, we love you, we care about you, you're here with us. That's a very powerful thing to develop. I remember when I was in grad school, one of the classes that I took was on the need for a social network for people that were struggling in mental health. In mental health, and we did diagrams on the board of all these different networks that they could plug into and be a part of. But the key thing is that a lot of times the networks may be out here, but we may not be plugging into them. So I'm really glad you're here with us. And I really want you to know that we work hard to develop a community that feels safe for people and feels like they're seen and known for their intrinsic value. So that's that one. The next one, interestingly enough, is storytelling. Now, what does that have to do with post-traumatic growth? Well, it turns out that the narrative that we land on influences how we heal. This is probably not news to you, but what I mean by that is the stories we tell ourselves about the trauma will either keep us cycling over and over and over and over in the trauma, or we will begin to find a narrative that makes sense of what at the time was senseless trauma. And we begin to draw lessons out of it, and we begin to tell stories about the lessons we've learned. And in that way, it turns out we not only grow, but we heal. And so those storytelling narrative moments are incredibly important. And it turns out that in post-traumatic growth, that's one of the number one things we can begin right away to work with if we're still working with trauma, is we can begin to tell the story on a piece of paper in a series of short form writings where we write about the story for maybe 1 to 5 days in a row, just for like 20 minutes. And we just keep writing about the trauma. And often what happens is the lesson begins to reveal itself, the ways that we can utilize the trauma to grow and heal and become even better and more ensconced in our self-esteem show up. So it's a very powerful thing. And then the last one I want to tell you about is something that I suspect you already know about. One of the last phases is transcendence, which means that for people who are in post-traumatic growth, they have connected with something larger than themselves. They have opened, as Rilke was saying, to a new world that's wide and timeless. They've touched, we would say, they've touched the sacred, they've touched the divine, they've crossed the bridge into the spiritual, and they've opened to a world that's always there waiting, but maybe is not as available when we're so focused on the mundane. So there was a story told while I was learning this about Viktor Frankl. And Viktor Frankl, you'll remember, was a psychiatrist, a Jewish psychiatrist who was taken to Auschwitz. And he lost all of his family. And he lost everything, really, he lost everything. But while he was in the camps, he was a psychiatrist. And so he is sitting with, working with, being with men who have lost their will to live. Not everybody. But he was interested in the ones who had lost their will to live. They stopped eating, they stopped caring, and in that state, they weren't long for this world. They were going to be taken to the ovens. So he wanted to work with them. And so what he began to do is exactly what this post-traumatic growth theory points to. He began to talk to the men who had lost their will to live about what was important to them. What was their purpose? So for one man, his entire family, except for one child, had been taken to the ovens. And that child, they had somehow gotten to a relative and gotten them to safety before they were taken away. And so Frankl worked with this man about his purpose as a father, to show up, to once the camps were over, to show up for that child and be a part of that child's life, and helped bring that man back to his sense of purpose and meaning by storytelling and having the man tell him stories about this child and why this child was so important and how they had gotten the child away. Another man was a scientist, and he had developed this incredible theory that he had started to do experiments with, but he was the only one that contained all the knowledge within himself about how to apply this for the benefit of humanity. And so Frankl worked with him on surviving the camps so that he would be able to bring what he held in his being and his mind and heart out into the world in a way that would benefit all of humanity. Often you see post-traumatic growth with people who have gone through personal trauma. For example, I'm sure, like me, you have someone in your life that's gone through the very trying and traumatic path of cancer. And what I notice about many of the cancer survivors I know is that they are shaken to their core by not only the cancer, but the treatment. And when they come out of that treatment, they have been shaken in such a way that they've developed a whole different meaning for their life, and a whole different trajectory begins to unfold, and they offer themselves in service to other cancer patients to help them also survive the trauma and move with meaning into their lives again. So you see this on individual levels, and I think we need to see it in each other. I think it's an important time for us to heal, to begin to do the work that so many of the traumas at a societal level have brought to us. Not in some sort of bypassy way. We don't want to not feel our feelings. Remember, that'll stick the grief back in the back, and we'll start having back pain and all kinds of other stuff. But instead, crossing the bridge back and forth, working with the mundane and the spiritual, using the experience of the trauma that we're feeling to learn about ourselves, to discover more about what's meaningful to us, to storytell about the lessons we're learning with our friends and our family, and to begin to work together so that we all can assist one another in lifting out of where we've been into a society and a personal experience where what is essential is what we're living. So I'll do a prayer for that, and we'll go into some announcements afterwards. So join me for a prayer for what is essential. I know this truth for myself, and if you know this, just say yes as I'm speaking, and it will be yours as well. I speak this word in the first person, knowing for myself that I do indeed share with the divine the mundane and the spiritual aspects of my nature. That within me, at the level of the heart, there is a knowing of what is essential that comes not from the world of the outer, but comes from the deepest knowing of who I am intrinsically at a spiritual level. As I focus on the deep knowing of who I am and what's important, the outer world begins to shape itself, bringing me opportunity after opportunity to bring what is most essential to me out from my own inner being into the world. I do this as a gift to myself and as a gift to the world. And I am shaped by the giving, by the service that I offer. And so whatever I need is provided so that I may do this important, essential work. If I need money, it's there. If I need inspiration, it's there. If I need support, it's there in so many ways, in so many forms. The outer world actually mirrors my inner knowing of essence. And my life begins to feel this incredible growing sense of compassion, loving kindness, joy, love expanding. The world I walk in is beautiful. Oh, it has tragedy. Oh, it has trauma. There's no doubt. But there is a beauty in being that allows me to work with tragedy and trauma in ways that grow me and serve others. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be a sacred human at this time, working in this realm, to bring the essential nature of who I am more fully in service to all that is. And so it is. So it is, truly. So I mentioned my friend Sue Miller-Bourne. She's a minister of the center in Redding, California, where I used to be a pastor. And she and I have been dear friends for a long, long, long time. We raised our children together. And so I called her and I said, Sue, I'm really missing doing retreats with you. Would you consider doing a Zoom retreat with me, just a day long, where we'll offer several 90-minute sessions of Zoom, and we'll take people through a retreat experience where they have the opportunity to really dive deep, discover the essence of who they are in some ways, talk with others in small group, do some journaling and some homework assignments in between our sessions. And she said yes. So we're doing this February 27th, which is a Saturday. The registration fee is $50, and it benefits Sue and me and our centers, so we appreciate that donation. And it's going to be a blend of all kinds of things. I mentioned that she was a student of yoga in all of its facets. So you'll be getting firsthand some of her yogic knowledge. So you're going to want to wear comfortable clothes. You'll have some storytelling and some poetry, some opportunities to do some personal growth reflections. It's going to be a wonderful day, and you're invited to come, no matter who you are, whether you're new with us or you're an old timer and just would love to be with me and Sue. We'd love you to come and be a part of our joy, which is celebrating retreats together on the 27th of February. You can register for all these things at CSL Bellingham at the website, and you'll find the info at csl-bellingham.net there, .org, I'm sorry. So the other things that are going on, next Sunday at noon, we're having our first of the year Climate Cafe. What is that? Well, we are very conscious of needing to be very conscious, clear earth stewards of our beautiful planet. And so we encourage those who are in our community to give some thought to how they can live more lightly on the land, how they can transform their lifestyles in ways that will help Mother Earth heal and regenerate. And so this first Climate Cafe has to do with spirituality and climate change. And the way it works is this: it's a Zoom offering. We're going to invite you to bring a lunch that is mostly plant-based, because that's a lot easier on the land and on everything to eat from the plants of our world. And while you're eating your lunch, we're going to show you a video, a YouTube video of a very brilliant man from Germany who is a spiritual leader, but also very concerned about climate change and how to work with that spiritually. So that'll be interesting. After that, we're going to go into breakout groups, and we'll have a sort of a focused discussion. We'll give you some discussion questions so that we stay on track, because this only goes for about an hour and a half. We're going to bring you back and give you a couple of resources that we're aware of as Earth stewards, and then send you on your way. So we'd love you to be a part of it, totally free. It's next Sunday at noon, and you can sign up, as I said, by going to our website and looking that up. I'm also teaching a class, and thank you. So many of you have joined that class already, registered for it, but I'd love to invite you to come as well if you haven't. It starts on February 2nd. It's a 7-week class, meets once a week on Tuesdays from 6 to 8. It's offered via Zoom, and it's called Revealing Wholeness, and it has to do with the continually evolving understanding of how the mind and the body and the spirit work together, and how we can optimize that working for our benefit and the benefit of everyone else. So it's a fascinating class. There'll be all kinds of interactive things that are going on, because that's the way I roll. And you're invited to come and be a part of it. I would love to have you. No limit on how many people. There is a registration fee of $175, and that assists the center as well as the person who developed this program and me. So we hope you'll come and be a part of it. I want you to know that in all of our classes, if you can't afford the registration, you are still welcome to come and be a part of it. There's a thing in our organization called accreditation. We just can't offer you the accreditation because we do need to pay registration and all that to our home folks. But you're welcome to come, even if 175 is just too steep for you. There are just 2 books that are involved with this class: the Science of Mind textbook, and we do still have a few loaners. If you're local and you would like to receive one of those loaners, please let us know right away. Also, if you're from afar, don't forget that often your library has at least 1 copy of the Science of Mind textbook, and so you can get it that way, as well as there's so many ways you can get it online. And then the other book is a book by Lisa Rankin called Mind Over Medicine. And I know many of you have that, but if you don't have it, it's really a valuable book to return to again and again. She has a real lovely process of taking people through to discover their essence. So that's happening. And then February 5th, which is a Friday, at 6 o'clock, we're offering a brand new once-a-month thing that's going to be on the first Friday of every month called Creativity as a Spiritual Practice. And we bring in people who have spent their lives or a good chunk of their time utilizing creativity to unearth what's essential to them in terms of crossing the bridge from the mundane to the spiritual. Our first offering will be from a local but renowned artist named Denise Champion, who's going to be talking about how she blends the spiritual and the mundane and her process of art. Now, don't worry. If you're like me, my art form does not take the form of painting or drawing or any of that. And so you might think, oh, that's not for me. But what I've noticed is whenever I'm around someone like Denise, they talk about their art form, and I get ideas about how to live my life better. So you're welcome to this free offering, February 5th, 6 p.m., and it'll be the first Friday of every month for the next 6 months. We hope you'll join us. The practitioners are, doing incredible things. One of the things that they're doing along with our board of directors is on the first Sunday of every month, after the service at noon, we're doing a Zoom discussion of the topic of the talk that was given that day. And that means you can come, you can talk with other people, you can hear ideas from the talk that maybe will inspire you some more. And we'd love you to do that. The next one coming up is February 7th at noon. And the practitioners are also offering this host of incredible services I hope you're availing yourself of. There's morning prayers at 7 a.m. from Monday through Friday by Zoom. There's evening gratitudes Monday through Friday at 8:45. There's a midweek guided meditation at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. So lots and lots of things you can be involved in and see faces that maybe will become familiar to you if they aren't already. And you're invited to come. I thank you in this new year for the donations that you've already given us. We start the year very strong financially, and it's because of people like you willing to give of your hard-earned money so that we can continue the inspiring work we hope we're doing. So right now I'm going to turn you over back to Amber Darlin for a last song to take us out into this beautiful day. Wherever you are, blessings to you.
Blessed day, I am thankful, grateful heart, I am whole. Glory be to the power of this mind that I know. Soulful praise to the wonder, freedom, sing a joyful song. Calling love to the center, lifting all is a one. Blessed day, I am thankful, grateful heart, I am whole. Glory be to the power of this mind that I know. Soulful praise to the wonder, freedom, sing a joyful song. Calling love to the center, lifting all is a one. I sing it now, so it is. Anything I dream, it is. Sing it now, so it is. Think bigger now, so it is. I'm holding this vision of peace, knowing a world of harmony. Calling love to the center, lifting all. We are free. I sing it now, so it is. Anything I dream, it is. Sing it now, so it is. Think bigger now, so it is. I'm holding this vision of peace, knowing a world of harmony. Calling love to the center, lifting all. We are free. Calling love to the center, lifting all. We are free. You all have just an amazing week, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.